Spotlighted athletes of 2024 is on the court tonight.
She's in the middle. America's Caitlin Clark withdrawals come to an end after 32 days. Bucci, how did we survive to get to this point?
Yeah, first came back after the Olympic break for Clark and the Fever, facing the Mercury. Good vibes before the game began, and Clark got off to a good start, rocking the suburbs just like Quiet Riot did. She's a 33% three-point shooter in her rookie year. Lately, taking the ball to the rim and one. She averages 35 minutes a night in the 40-minute WNBA games. How about another and one? She was 9 of 10 from the line. She shoots 89% from the line. Fever, great start. They're up by 11. Remember, they began the year 1-8 in their first 9. They're 10-7 since coming into this one. Clark, first player, W history, 450 points, 200 apples in a 27-game span. MVP discussion will start to bubble here. Squish. Top 8 in this 12-team league make the playoffs. Indiana is 7th. They have 13 games left after tonight. She averages 8.2 assists. Should reach double figures again in this one. Alyssa Smith with a real strong finish. And again, how about a first half of 15-5? Tyrese Halliburton tweeted about Clark's insane performance while he was at the arena watching.
Yeah, he won a gold medal. There's still people upset that Caitlin Clark wasn't on the U.S. Olympic team in the third. 28-point lead for the Fever has been trimmed to 10, and then look out, Booch, Natasha, Cloud, and Mitchell getting into it. You could understand the chippiness. Again, one team was down by 28, and the team that was up 28 had it cut to 10, so you could sense the frustration boiling on both sides. Double technical. Now they're trying to cut this thing into single digits, and they will. Sophia Cunningham in the corner for 3 from 28 down to 7 for the Mercury, who are rebuilt, new coach, new GM, new roster. Copper got it. A clutch 3. And the Mercury are right back in this game. As they tweeted out. Again, 28-point deficit, the largest ever overcome in any WNBA game in the 28-year history of the league. Caitlin Clark's like, the only person making history tonight is me. Fever up 5. And then Clark, the Katie Lou Samuelson, the former UConn star. And now it's comfortable. Fever back up by 8 after 3. But again, it was shaved from 28. Phoenix actually took the lead, and now it's comfortably in control, you would think, for Clark. It's double digits. Caitlin Clark, John, has been playing basketball uninterrupted since last November.
Yeah.
She needed that 1 month break, right? She went all the way through the season, the Final Four, the draft, the season, and now she can sort of feel it on her way. 2 years ago, the Fever won 5 games. 5! And then they drafted Aaliyah Boston, first overall, and they drafted her first overall. Good night. Caitlin Clark with another 25, 5, and 10 games. Fever, hold on. This taught this one a lot about her team.
We didn't crumble. We had a few lapses that it didn't look very pretty for us, but we always found a way to respond. And honestly, I thought we played a really good fourth quarter and came up when stops when we needed it. It's huge. I think it sets the tone of where we want to be the rest of the season. So to grind this one out and get it done, I think is just a step in the right direction. But it's one at a time, and we have another big one Sunday.
You can't say enough about the numbers. She broke the assist record in her last game. Remember what a big deal that was with 19? She's now scored or assisted on the most points in any 2-game span in W history. She passed Diana Taurasi. Only seems fitting she shared the court with Diana on this night. Over the last 2 games, Clark has scored or assisted on a mind-boggling 62% of her team's points. It is a pleasure to be joined by Carolyn Peck, celebrating the 25th anniversary of her NCAA championship. Coaching Purdue, also a great coach in the W, and it's great to have you here tonight. All right, so we just went through the swing of emotions in the game here, Coach. Up 28, down 1, rally to win. You heard Caitlin talk about it. When a team rallies to win a game like that after facing the adversity that they did of blowing a lead like that, what does that generally tell you about that group?
Stephen, the biggest thing it's telling me is that Indiana's growing up, because we saw in the first half of the season there were opportunities. Indiana had a chance to win, but they crumbled when the game got tight. So to be able to get off to such a great start, really deliver the first punch, and then when Phoenix punched back, they were able to hold on, and especially on the backs of Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. I like leaving them both on the floor and putting the ball in the hands of Caitlin Clark and trusting her to make the decisions down the stretch. And when she did that, you could see the team had confidence around her. And Kelsey Mitchell, she wants the ball in those situations. And I believe that's why it was Indiana that was able to hold on down the stretch and pull off the win.
All right, so the WNBA regular season ends a month from this Monday. And if you take a look at the schedule that they've got coming up here, the Fever, they're saying, analytics, this is all in quotes because you never know what could happen. They do have among the easiest schedules in the W. You're looking at it here right over my shoulder. What do you expect to see? Let's just remember, folks, 2 years ago, this team won 5 games. Then they added 2 #1 overall picks. And here they are. But how do you see it here, last half dozen games in a fight for the playoffs?
I don't know what these analytics are looking at because Seattle is number 5, and they just fell to Atlanta. Hey, Ryan Howard's back. She had 30 points tonight. The combination of her and Alicia Gray. So that's a tough game. Then the Minnesota Lynx. That's a tough team as well. Nafisa Collier is back. You got to play Minnesota. So you have Atlanta, Minnesota. Then you got to play Dallas. And you know who's back for Dallas? Satu Sabali. So I think Dallas, don't look at the record because having her the length of what Dallas has. And then in September, you know who they've got to play? Indiana has to play the Las Vegas Aces twice. And now they have Chelsea Gray back. Right. And so with Chelsea Gray back, look, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, their percentages have gone up, and we can't even say enough about what Asia Wilson has already done this season. She didn't let up in Paris, and I expect nothing less from her in this second half of the season.
What's going to be so interesting is the top 8 seeds make the WNBA playoffs. Right now, Indiana is sitting in 7th, but 7 through 11 is separated by like 5 games, so there's not that much margin for error for Clark and Boston if they want to make that remarkable turnaround and get back to the playoffs. Coach, have a great broadcast this weekend.
19 assists in a game, having the single game record in assists. Well, keeps it rolling in this one, putting up 10 assists and assisting the Fever to the 98-89 win, getting off to on the right foot on the other side of the Olympic break. And we now bring in CBS Sports WNBA analyst Tykera Carter as there appeared to be no rust in Caitlin Clark's game in the Fever's first action back from that Olympic break. I want to dive into the minutia of the game in just a moment, but just looking at Clark's 29-point performance, getting her 10th double-double on the season, just give me your takeaways overall from the Fever's efforts against the Mercury.
I'm impressed. that was the first thing that I thought when I watched this game because of their resilience. They were up by 28 points, and they could have folded in that third quarter when the Mercury, they fought back and they took a lead. And the young Indiana Fever squad was like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to continue to fight. We're going to find a way to win. And understanding the nuances of the game, it's a game of runs. So they're like, we went on our run, understood that Phoenix was going to have theirs, but it was all about the response. And for a young team like that, as they continue to come together, there's going to be moments like that, and it's going to be about how are we going to react when our backs are up against the wall. And they passed the test on that now for the 3rd time against a very good Phoenix Mercury team.
The final box score doesn't really tell that full story of this matchup. You brought it up a little bit about that 28-point lead at one point in this game, but this game ended up falling to the Fever in the second, well, throughout, because they scored 33-21, 33 and 21 in the first half. But what went wrong for the Mercury, or maybe right for the Fever in this one?
So I would say what went wrong for the Mercury is the fact of the matter is they made adjustments, in my opinion, just a tad too late. When the Phoenix Mercury were pushing the ball in transition, it didn't click that at some point we got to stop them, right? They just let them go on their run, and by that time you're down by 28 points. And as a team that's a little bit more seasoned, as they alluded to in the broadcast, and you're coming off of a back-to-back, it's really hard to stop the bleeding in that sense. So I feel as though the Phoenix Mercury, they did try to make an adjustment by going to a zone, and Indiana struggled a little bit with it, but I think they should have did that a little earlier in the game. You pick up Clark full court. As soon as she touches the ball, you got to guard her 94 feet because she's looking to push and pass and dish it off to her teammates. So I feel as though the Indiana Fever, what they did right was they saw that Indiana, or Phoenix, if you will, they cannot beat us in a foot race. Let's get this ball down the court and let's go. They're looking more and more comfortable as a team, especially that duo in Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark. So I really love what they were doing. Again, the response took the cake for me.
Prior to tip-off, you and I talked about how important this game is for both the Mercury and Fever being 3 games apart from one another in the standings. The Fever now inching a game closer, now within 2 games. But where do you see these 2 teams come regular season's end?
I think it's a tough one because I feel like the Phoenix Mercury and the Indiana Fever, they just don't match up well because they play 2 different styles of play as far as getting up and down the floor. But Indiana, they were able to get 2 games ahead of the Chicago Sky, which I think is most important, anything to try to stay out of that 8th and bottom spot so you don't have to get a number 1 seed or a 2 seed. So I honestly think if Indiana can keep up this momentum, if they can continue to gel and mesh as a squad, they could finish anywhere as high as 5 or 6, seeing if the Las Vegas Aces continue to rise as well. And then I think the Phoenix Mercury, it just depends on what team decides to show up. And then also looking at the bottom of the totem pole as well, the Atlanta Dream, they're creeping up there too. So I think it's a little too early to say where they can finish, but I honestly think that Indiana is in the process of rising and they can continue to rise. And Phoenix, if they have little lapses like this, they could be the team that could fall to that 7 and 8. So.
Well, you talk about the Fever. You said if they can kind of continue that momentum, who knows where they can maybe rise up to. But I'll tell you one thing, getting off on the right foot to start the second half.
Vâng, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh YouTube của mình. Mình xin tự giới thiệu. Mình là một người rất thích vẽ tranh và tô màu. Mình là một họa sĩ tự do. Video ngày hôm nay mình sẽ hướng dẫn mọi người cách tạo ra những sản phẩm thật là tuyệt đẹp. Và mình mong rằng các bạn luôn luôn theo dõi mình và ủng hộ mình bằng những lượt like và lượt đăng ký kênh. Mình cảm ơn các bạn rất là nhiều.